Hey everybody, welcome to our first lesson with distance learning. So we're going to actually be done with Unit 5 and we're going to move on to Unit 6. I think you guys will like this. It's a lot of different things. Pretty easy. At least I think it's pretty easy. You just have to make sure that you're following the directions and following the rules, and I think you're going to be pretty successful. So it's a good spot for us to start since this is new for everybody. So the plan is for me to do the notes with you and do the lesson with you. You do not need to copy down the notes. If you would like to, you can. They're available for you on Schoology. However, I would recommend at least having a piece of scratch paper ready for next to you. Write down our examples so then you can go back and look at that when you're working on the homework. So without further ado, let's go ahead and take a look at this first lesson. So our first lesson for Chapter 6 is on ratios. Our learning target is I can write ratios using the word to, a colon, and a fraction. So what ratios are is it's just a comparison of two different things. Okay? So the actual definition is a ratio of two quantities by division, or a comparison of two quantities by division. So in our model right there, the two things that we're comparing are blue paper clips and red paper clips. So if I count my blue paper clips, I have 6, and if I count my red paper clips, I have 2. So those are the two things I'm comparing. If I wanted the ratio of red paper clips to blue paper clips, I could write it 3 different ways. I could use the word to, I could use a colon, which is just the 2 dots, or I could use a fraction bar. It doesn't matter which one you use, but those are our 3 different options. I usually use the fraction bar because that's going to help us when we start learning about different things like rates, which is coming up next, and percents and things like that down the road. So the one thing that I want to talk about with ratios are, even though they look like fractions and you're frequently going to have them written as fractions, they're not necessarily fractions. They're not the same thing. We cannot add, subtract, multiply, and divide ratios. We cannot change a ratio from what looks like an improper fraction to a mixed number. It has to stay that way. One thing that we can do with ratios, though, is simplify them. So if I take a look at my example 2 to 6, I should be simplifying that. So if I write my ratio of 2 to 6, I should notice that I can simplify the 2 and the 6 if I divide both of those by 2. And I can rewrite my ratio of 1 to 3. Now another thing that we need to be aware of is no matter how you write it, whether it's with the word to, with the colon, or with the fraction bar, we always say them the same. I use the word to no matter how I'm reading that. So the ratio that I have of blue paper clips to red paper clips is 1, 2, 3. Let's take a look at a couple examples. Write each ratio 3 different ways. Express your answers in simplest form. Number 1, suns to number of moons. So the first thing I want is suns, and then there was my word to, and then I want moons. So my suns, I have 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to write it as a fraction. Moons, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now before I move on and write it my other way, I'm going to make sure that I cannot simplify that. 4 to 7 cannot be simplified, so I can write it my other ways. I can write it with the word to, and I can also write it with a colon. So my ratio of sun to moons is 4 to 7. Number 2, cats to the number of pets. So I look at my little table there, and I want cats to the number of pets. There's 8 cats, so that's going to be my first number. And the number of pets is going to be my total, so I need to add all of these up. 10 plus 9 is 19. 19 plus 8 is 27. 27 plus 5 is 32. Now before I move on, I want to check to see if that can be simplified. And 8 and 32 can both be divided by 8. So I'm going to rewrite my ratio, 1 to 4. And then write it my other 2 ways. 1 to 4 and 1 to 4. So our ratio of cats to total number of pets is 1 to 4. Number 3, fruit to the total number of students. So my fruit is 3, And again, I need my total, so I need to add this all up. 9 plus 8, 17, plus 3, 20, plus 1, 21. 3 to 21 can also be simplified if I divide those both by 3. And feel free to use a calculator if you need to. 3 divided by 3 is 1, 21 divided by 3 is 7. Now I can write it my two other ways, 1 to 7 and 1 to 7. So my ratio of fruit to total number of students' responses is 1 to 7. Now notice on 2 and 3, my first number is 1. On number 1, that's not my first number. My first number is 4. So it's not always going to be 1. I just want to point that out. One last problem. Last month, Amber ate 9 apples, 5 bananas, 4 peaches, and 7 oranges. Find the ratio of bananas to the total number of pieces of fruit Amber ate last month. So I'm looking for a ratio, and I want that ratio to be bananas to total number of pieces that Anna ate. I have some important numbers here, especially bananas. And then my action word is going to be ratio. Now, if you would like to, you can also go ahead and highlight bananas to the total number of pieces, because that's going to tell you the ratio that you're looking for. So my first number I need is the number of bananas, which is 5. And then I need the total number of fruit. So I need to take my other numbers, I need to add them up, including the bananas. So 9 plus 5 plus 4 plus 7. See, 9 plus 5 is 14, plus 4 is 18, plus 7 is 25. I can simplify this ratio by dividing both by 5. So my answer is going to be 1 to 5. And then don't forget to write it the other two ways. Alright, that wraps up our first lesson on ratios. You have 3 IXLs here that I'd like for you to do. There's a blue worksheet that you could also work on if you need extra practice. I will not be grading the blue worksheet as normal. However, I will be grading all 3 of those IXLs. Don't forget to message me on Schoology if you have any questions, and I can hook us up with a Google Meet, and I can talk you through whatever issues you have. Peace.